Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime Local News. There are 7 new cases of COVID-19 in Saskatchewan. 6 are in Regina and 1 in the Central East Zone. 138 cases are considered active, none of those in the zone that includes Lloydminster and North Battleford. 8 people are in hospital, 18 more people have recovered. The Lloydminster Cultural and Science Centre has found its temporary home. After plenty of discussion Monday, Council approved a motion allowing the city to negotiate a lease with Musgrave Agencies to move to 4207 44th Street. Eric Bay reports.
Musgrave Agencies will construct a new building that the LCSC will occupy on a 10-year lease. The lease was the biggest concern at Council, with the Musgrave building costing nearly $500,000 more over the 10-year term than the cheapest option available.
Most of the individuals that I spoke were in favor of going with the lower price, considering that it is just going to be a temporary fix for 5 years, and it might be a little bit longer, but still, that $50,000 a year does add up, and especially when you couple it with the situation that we're in here in this country and globally.
Ultimately, Council preferred the location of the new build, with a high-profile site off Highway 16. The proximity to the old LCSC was also a big factor, easing the move of the artifacts.
There were some other benefits that were discussed by council members to having a new building added to the city. In the long term, it's always added value to the city from many different perspectives, and especially on 16 Highway to see that development. So I think in the long haul, I believe it was the right decision.
The city will be saving money on the front end, with capital costs on the Musgrave property totaling $300,000, $1.2 million cheaper than what had been budgeted by the city. Councillor Fagnan doesn't believe that makes up for the price tag on the lease, saying the cheaper lease at 4206 66th Avenue is ready to go.
So I think it would be very minimal as far as the cost would be to go in there. So that was one side of things where I don't think that the capital cost would be that expensive.
With the option that was taken, it was the least capital intensive that the city would have to lay out.
Construction costs on the new building will be covered by Musgrave Agencies. The LCSC is expected to reopen in the new facility by May 2021. Eric Bay, Primetime Local News.
One Lloydminster resident is putting in his name into the election for City Council for the first time. Dean Segberg, who grew up in Macklin, says one of the reasons he wants to run for City Council is to be a different voice for the city, as he is aware of some of the capital projects going forward.
Well, I wanted to be a voice in there that has a to-do list, and let's take that to-do list and filter it out to needs versus wants, because eventually we're going to have to pay for them, and I just think responsibility and fiscal responsibility and accountability are something that we need to look at. So,
one of his major platform points is how we can diversify when it comes to the oil and agriculture sector. Segberg says there is big potential to be a crossroad hub between Edmonton and Saskatoon.
You bring in these big facilities, you bring in young families. You bring in young families, you bring in new revenue streams, and that's the key, I think, to making Lloydminster strong for the next 10 years and beyond.
The election will take place on November 9th. Now our Connor Chan will take a look at your weather forecast.
Thanks very much, Jasmine. Taking a look at temperatures right now, 16 degrees. We had a fairly sunny day, but it was a very windy day. We got gusts way higher than what we see right here on the board here. So right now, currently winds are coming in from the northwest at 43 kilometers an hour. We had winds over 50 around in the afternoon parts of today, but still fairly windy nonetheless for most of the area. But taking a look at some other temperatures right now, we also see 16s in Vermilion, Marwayne, Cold Lake, Pierceland, and Vegreville, 15 in Provost, with 15 also in Lac La Biche, 17 degrees as we move out a little bit further east into Maidstone and North Battleford and Meadow Lake as well, with 15 in St. Walburg and 16 degrees in Green Lake. So as we take a look at the satellite radar map, we had a little bit of activity in the afternoon, and coming up into the evening, there is still a slight possibility we could get some little bit of rain overnight, but more so of a 30% chance. It's not going to be till like that later part of the evening if it does so happen around that 8:30 mark there. But as we take a look at the school day forecast for tomorrow, 8 a.m. tomorrow, 4 degrees to start the day off with 7 degrees degrees at recess time, so we'll still have another fairly clear day with a little bit of cloud coverage there. 9 degrees at lunchtime around that noon mark, and then by the time we have the schools out around that 3 o'clock range, it'll be around that 11-degree mark for our daytime high. So it'll be a fairly cooler day tomorrow, but looking at North Battleford overnight, 4 degrees going into 11 tomorrow with some cloud coverage there. They of course had some heavy winds as well as in Cold Lake. As I mentioned, most of the area was hit pretty hard with lots of wind gusts there. 4 overnight in Cold Lake, and then 10 degrees tomorrow with mostly sunny skies and a few clouds there, and then 30 degrees overnight with clear skies for us here in Lloydminster, and then 11 tomorrow with a little bit of sun and cloud mix ahead. So here's what we could see over the next 3 days. A little bit cloudier days expected there on Thursday and Friday. 12 degrees on Thursday with that low of 0 degrees. And then as we get to Friday, 15 degrees the daytime high with a little bit of sun, but mostly some cloud coverage overpowering that sun. But that is a first look at your weather forecast. We'll have more primetime local news after the break.
Welcome back. Startup Lloydminster is hosting a series of human resource workshops over the next few weeks geared towards local businesses. Jace Mackey has a preview of the Human Resources for Business Success workshops.
Today with Tess Wack. She is the Executive Director of Startup Lloydminster. Thanks for taking some time to talk with me today, Tess.
Thanks for having me.
So the main reason I wanted to talk with you today is I saw there's a Human Resources for Business Success kind of workshop that'll be taking place here in a few weeks. Can you just talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have recently launched our human resources web pages. So you can check that out on our website, startuployd.com. And from that, we have built a series on different HR training. So there is one, which is HR best practices during COVID. And then we kind of delve a little bit more into the content that's on the website, which follows the employee life cycle. And so there's a total of 5 workshops, and we're really excited for it.
So do you have to take all of these workshops, or are you able to kind of pick and choose which one you want? How does that work?
No, you're able to choose which one you want. There is a bit of a discount to take all 5. So it's $80 a workshop. And then if you take all 5, it's $350. So there's a bit of a discount. So as I said, the first one is HR best practices during COVID-19. And then we have one about planning change for positive employee engagement, one about recruitment, selection, and hiring, then leading into onboarding and orientation of that new employee. And then finally, some success steps with probation, coaching, and then performance appraisals.
And who are going to be the facilitators of these Zoom sessions?
So our facilitator is Shirley Leonard. She's an HR specialist. She was the one who supported us to build that website. She's so knowledgeable and so passionate about this stuff. So it's going to be a really great workshop.
So what kind of businesses would benefit from taking a workshop like this? Is it more of a smaller local one, or can you just kind of shed light on that?
It can be any business with employees. So we do have lots of small businesses with, maybe 1 or 2 who have shown interest, and then some other bigger ones as well. If you have employees, you're going to need human resources. And in this time, there's lots of changes seeming to be happening, and also it's showing kind of how important it is as well. So we're very excited to bring this to our community and region. And because it's on Zoom, it is open to those who, maybe don't want to travel into Lloyd for that.
So is anyone able to sign up for this? And if so, how can people go about signing up and registering to take these workshops?
Yeah, this is open to anyone. They can sign up on, we've got a link on our website to our Eventbrite. So it's startuployd.com, and then just under the programs and training tab, or they can reach out to us at the office. They can give us a call. Our toll-free number is 1-888-299-7652. And so they can give us a call and get signed up that way as well.
I remember seeing a few months ago in Startup Lloydminster, you guys opened your new office, and you've really been kind of having events after events or workshops after workshops. Is there some other stuff that's going on at Startup Lloydminster right now?
Yes, we have our weekly lunch and learns. Those are free to attend. Watch for those on our social medias. This week is a work-life balance, and so we've got quite a variety of those, and so those are ongoing throughout the rest of the year on Wednesdays. And then we also have our leadership series that we're working on bringing, and so that starts at the end of October. It will run over 6 months, and so the sessions are broken up kind of about 1 a month, maybe 2, just depending on the content and how it's broken up for Zoom. as well. So those ones will be virtually. And then there's coaching with that. It's just a really great program for anyone in a leadership position or anyone who leads in their day-to-day life, which we all do. So it's very valuable. And so there's more information on that one on our website as well.
And for the Human Resources for Business Success Zoom workshop, for people who take all 5, I believe, of the courses, they get a certificate. Am I right?
Yeah, there is a certificate of completion for all 5 as well at the end. So
awesome. And do you have anything else you want to add before we wrap things up today?
No, I just think that it's a great workshop. If you have any questions, please reach out. We're happy to shed some light. There's some additional details on our website that breaks out kind of what will be covered in each session and the goals of each session. So it's a great series. You can register for it all, register for 1 or 2, whatever works best. But we're very excited to be bringing this to our community.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tess Wack, the Executive Director of Startup Lloydminster. Thanks for taking some time to talk with me today.
Thanks for having us.
Now here are your stock market prices for today.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
The NHL season, which started way back in October, has now come to a finish. For the first time since 2004, a second time in franchise history, the Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champions. Evan Kenny and Eric Bay have more.
Well, it's been a long time coming. It's kind of crazy to think that back in the fall of 2019, the NHL regular season started. Flash forward now to last night, where the Stanley Cup was handed out. Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals went to the Tampa Bay Lightning, where they won 2-0 to become Stanley Cup champions. Joining me today to break this down is Eric Bay. Eric, thank you for joining me.
No problem. Definitely fun to talk about. And as you said, kind of crazy that we did actually make it here. It's been a long time coming, but happy we made it.
Now, Eric, this is something that us as hockey fans, as well as the players, have looked forward to for a long, long time. Why don't we just start by breaking down Game 6 last night. 2-0 win for Tampa, as I mentioned. What did you see out of the game?
Yeah, well, really, I thought it was a great game by Tampa Bay. And to be honest, throughout most of this entire series and really the playoffs as a whole, they've kind of taken charge throughout it all. But what really impressed me the most, I think, was Andrei Vasilevskiy. Now, with about 10 minutes left in that third period, he had only faced 9 shots up till that point. So it might be a little hard to get into the game, still feel warm. And we saw in Game 4, I believe it was, when he gave up, those 3 goals on the first few shots there for 7, I believe. So again, it could be pretty hard for him to get into it, but he was really a brick wall. And especially when Tampa Bay did a good job of shutting down Dallas late, but Dallas did still have some pretty good chances, including Tyler Seguin in close, and Vasilevskiy was up to the challenge, so he really put an exclamation point on the end of this series with his first playoff shutout.
I got to agree with you there, Eric. Tampa did a good job early in the game of getting on Dallas and really shutting down whatever momentum they were trying to build. Almost as soon as it turned 1-0 off of that Braden Point goal, it seemed like Dallas just started to crumble until that last 10 or so minutes, like you mentioned, and Vasilevskiy was standing on his head. Not quite good enough to win the Conn Smythe for the NHL playoffs as the MVP. That went to defenseman Victor Hedman. Eric, what did you think of Hedman's play over this entire playoff span?
Yeah, it was very good, and I think really you can make the case, as you said, Vasilevskiy or even Braden Point were very deserving of this award, but that just kind of shows the depth of this entire Tampa Bay team. But Victor Hedman, he really took charge, and as a guy on defense, he led the play both offensively and defensively. 10 goals is nothing to sneeze at, so again, just pretty incredible what he was able to do from the blue line, and also some of those shifts he took as well, especially against Dallas. There was a few 3-minute shifts where he got stuck out there, and didn't look like he was out of breath at all. Looked like he could keep going all night, so just shows the cardio and the skill level that Victor Hedman does possess. So a very deserving Conn Smythe Award for him, but I know he doesn't really care about that. It's all about that Stanley Cup.
Yeah, great two-way defenseman who put up some fantastic numbers. 10 goals, 12 assists over this entire playoff span. And in the last series alone, he had 7 assists just to rack up those numbers. A couple other guys you mentioned there, Braden Point, 14 goals, 19 assists. And every game that he did not play, the Tampa Bay Lightning lost, so he was a huge component for that team. And then finally, Andrei Vasilevsky. I mean, he was an absolute animal. Personally, he would have got the Conn Smythe if I was picking best save percentage of his entire career. If we look at his playoff performances and his regular season, that's his best save percentage, as well his best goals against over that time. His goals against were 1.9 and his save percentage was .927. So just some phenomenal numbers. And like you said, a shutout to really close things out is just sort of the cherry on top for him. The cherry on top of one guy's career now is Steven Stamkos, and that is the Stanley Cup. Eric, just taking a look from a fan's perspective, this is a feel-good story, is it not?
Yeah, obviously pretty cool to see him finally host the Cup. They've been close a few times, obviously lost in 2015 to the Chicago Blackhawks, and I guess maybe a little bittersweet in the fact that he wasn't really able to play in the playoffs except for those, 2 just under 3 minutes of gameplay there. But again, you look at what he's done for this team, 12 seasons he's been there now, and it's really great to see him finally lift the Cup. And you could tell as soon as Gary Bettman handed over that mug how pumped he was, and pretty cool actually to see the celebration, 2 of those guys with no fans in the building, all of them standing and clapping for each other. So yeah, just a great moment always when the Cup is handed out, but extra special I think this year for sure.
803 career games with Tampa Bay. That's third in franchise history, only behind Martin St. Louis and Vincent Lecavalier, who already have their name on Lord Stanley as well. He's the franchise leader in goals. So it is great to see a guy who's been with a team for as long as Stamkos has been. It's nice to see him get paid out here. Another guy who does have ties to the Stanley Cup and to the Tampa Bay Lightning, just unfortunately was on the wrong side, was Rick Bowness. He was with Tampa Bay from 2013 to 2018 as an associate coach, obviously before his time here with Dallas. So just a nice little story there, seeing him in that handshake line. A lot of those players he sort of groomed for this moment. And Eric, you said it was a long time coming for this team. So congratulations to Tampa Bay and to Tampa Bay fans. Eric, it's always a pleasure getting to chat with you.
For sure.
Thanks very much, Jasmine. Looking at temperatures right now, still at that wind though is still the factor right now. It's still over that 30 kilometers an hour right now, but still sitting at 16 degrees for the daytime high, and 16 also out in Cold Lake, Edmonton as well. We see a little bit of cooler temperatures out in Red Deer at 13 and 11 in Rocky Mountain House. Edson a little bit warmer, along with Jasper sitting at 17, and then Whitecourt is sitting at 15 degrees. 17 in North Battleford, Meadow Lake, and Melford as well, while Saskatoon and Prince Albert both sit at 18 degrees. Now, as we look at temperatures up in the northern areas, La Loche and Buffalo Narrows sitting at 14 degrees with 15 in La Ronge and 16 out in Flin Flon and 14 also in South End. We also see 11 in Walton Lake, while 8 degrees in Stony Rapids and 7 in Uranium City. Over in northern Alberta, Fort Chipewyan a little bit cooler as well, sitting at 9 right now, with Slave Lake sitting at 15 along with Peace River, and in High Level with Grand Prairie sitting at 16 degrees. Down in southern Alberta and Saskatchewan right now, as we take a look there, 21 in Lethbridge with 20 degrees in Medicine Hat, with 15 up in Calgary, down in Calgary, and then 19 in Banff with 14 in Coronation. We also see 14 degrees in Kindersley and Esteban, 16 degrees in Swift Current and in Regina, and then Moose Jaw also sitting at 15 degrees, and Yorkton right now sitting at 18 degrees. Now, as we take a look across the rest of the country, a little bit more of a sunnier day in some areas like Edmonton and Regina compared to what we saw yesterday, where they had a little bit more cloud coverage there, but still some cloud coverage as we move out further east. Winnipeg sitting at 20 degrees right now with a little bit of sun. We see 17 in Quebec City with some showers, 18 degrees in Toronto, and then we see 20 in St. John's, and then 21 degrees in Halifax right now. Vancouver with some clear skies out there, sitting at 18 degrees. Yellowknife a little bit cloudier, up sitting at 8 right now, with 10 degrees up in Whitehorse as well, and clear skies, as I mentioned, of course, in Edmonton right now. Now, of course, there is still a possibility we could get some showers later on into the evening. That current that we saw on the satellite radar map may make its way around that 8 o'clock range there. So there is still a possibility of some showers, mainly like a 30% chance that we could see there. Now, let's take a look at what we could see for tomorrow. A little bit cooler as we are just above 10 degrees there, sitting at 11 for us tomorrow as the daytime high, along with Marwayne, St. Paul, Bonnyville, and in Lac La Biche as well. 13 we see in Vegreville and Wainwright, 14 for Provost and Edmonton tomorrow. We also see 11 in Maidstone and North Battleford, while we see 10 degrees in St. Walburg, Meadow Lake, Cold Lake, and Pierceland as well. And now as we take a look at the next 7 days here, 12 degrees on Thursday with the daytime high there and a bit of cloud coverage, 15 also for Friday, and then we'll see possibly maybe a little bit more sun on Saturday with that high of 14, but maybe not much. There's a 40% chance we could see some rain on Sunday with some clear skies and some cloud coverage coming in there with that high of 18 degrees. We also see an 18-degree daytime high on Monday going into next week, and then a high of 15 degrees on Tuesday, usually average around 14 for our highs, and now we're way above averages for our daytime low. But that's a look at your weather right now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm joined once again with Becca Lawrence from the Lloydminster and District SPCA. How are we doing this week, Becca?
We're doing really good, and you?
I'm doing great, thank you. So who do we have here today? We have another cute cat I can see.
Yes, this big, nice love bug here is Victor, and he's been at the shelter for a little while now. Probably one of our closest for one of our longest residents. And yeah, no, so he's ready to go to his new forever home.
So he looks fairly rambunctious. He looks like a pretty active cat. He likes playing, I imagine. How is he?
Yeah, no, he's really good. He is quite affectionate. Like, he's just out and free right now. So I think he's just having the time of his life right now. But he's giving me a bit of a run for it right now. But no, he's normally he's really, really good. He's just out and about and burning off that energy.
Well, how is he with other animals as well then? Because obviously we can see he's good with people, but is he, sharing a cat condo with anybody? How is he with the dogs?
Yeah, he's currently in a condo with another cat. And the other cat kind of keeps to herself, but so for the most part we can't really tell. Can't tell too much with him, but he hasn't really tried to fight or anything with them, so we think that he's pretty good. And he just really just likes to hang out and just be around everybody that'll give him love and attention. And as long as he can kind of do what he wants as well too, then he's perfectly happy.
Well, that's wonderful. Sounds like he knows what he likes. So we were speaking last week, and I know this whole fall you guys have been pretty high on the cat numbers. So how are you guys doing this week? Have you managed to get a few adoptions out, or how are things going?
Yeah, like last week, surprisingly, we had about 23 or 24 adoptions, and which is really, really good. We had quite a few of our barn buddies go, and so we had quite a few to come in to have them. So yeah, we were able to get them all spayed and neutered and out to their new farms or shops they need to go to. The cats obviously that would not be good in houses. So yeah, so we had a bit of a jump in that aspect just from our barn buddies, but really good. Like in the shelter we're still quite full. They're still coming in pretty much quite as fast as they're going out. So that's a whole other thing. But dog numbers we're still doing really good about.
Well, that's good to hear. So keeping the dog numbers down, is always good. But I know that it's difficult with cats. They are plentiful. We'll say that much. So if anybody out there is looking for an affectionate little cat, certainly stop by the SPCA. And I do know that with cat numbers so high, I'm sure you guys are probably looking for cat food, kitten food, things of those for physical donations. Is that correct to assume?
Yeah. And we actually just in the last couple of weeks have had quite a few people come in and donate kitten food, which is really great. We still are going through it quite just as fast kind of thing, giving it out to our fosters and everything. So yeah, we are always looking for the dry kitten food. Even the wet canned food, we're looking for a lot more of now again as well. We've been just blowing through that this fall with kittens. So yeah, definitely the dry kitten food and the wet.
Well, there you have it, guys. If anybody out there feels like doing a good deed this week, certainly maybe, drop some cat supplies off at the SPCA to help them out. Now, Becca, we were just speaking off camera quickly, but it's actually your guys' annual general meeting, your AGM tonight. So why don't you let us know what's going on? What's on the docket for tonight?
Yeah, so I mean, we're just going through, normally we have our AGM kind of in the May area, but with COVID, things got pushed back a little bit. But we're doing it by Zoom. So we did we put it out if anybody wanted to come, they definitely could, and we could send them the link. If anybody happens to tonight see it before 7 o'clock, they can still send us an email, and then we'll send them a link to join in really quick at the last minute if they like. But yeah, we're going over all of 2019 events and things like that, and our our budgets and all of that fun stuff. So that's what we're doing tonight between 7 and 9 p.m.
Beautiful. So if anybody out there wants to, learn a little bit more about, the behind the scenes of the SPCA, certainly get in contact with Becca, get the link to that AGM, and join in on the meeting. So we're all out of time for this week, Becca, but thank you so much for joining us, and we will speak with you again next week.
Manage your waste and recyclables with Quick Pick Waste Disposal. 100% locally owned and proud to serve and support the communities we call home. Quick Pick, the convenient solution to avoid pollution.
I'm speaking with Michelle Okiri, the CEO of Compassion House Foundation. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm very good. Can you give a better understanding of what the Compassion House Foundation is all about?
Absolutely. So we are here to serve women who are undergoing cancer treatment, and specifically those who have to travel to Edmonton for cancer treatment. So we operate Sorrentino's Compassion House, which has 16 suites for women who are undergoing cancer treatment. On average, they stay with us for about 5 weeks, which is the average radiation treatment here in Edmonton. And in addition to that, we provide post-treatment support services. So things like weekend retreats and workshops, as well as our ambassador network, which supports women in their communities once they've returned home.
And Fashion with Compassion at Home will be a virtual version of the annual fundraiser. How many years has this event been around?
24. So yeah, it's a long-standing event. It actually predates the house. It was a fundraiser that they held annually to help support the initial construction of the house, and then has been in place since that to help us with the operating costs.
Okay, and what will the foundation do differently this year for the virtual version?
It'll be very different. Normally we have 650 people in for lunch, swap it all out and do an evening gala. Wonderful, international style runway and fashion show. Really an event to be at, and it's been an amazing event here in Edmonton for a very long time. Having to pivot to virtual, like so many have had to during this pandemic, was definitely a challenge, but we also saw it as an opportunity to focus more on the women and their stories, to really tell the story of women who are undergoing cancer treatment from when they get that initial diagnosis through coming into Edmonton for treatment, and the sisterhood that they develop in staying at the house and being around other women who are going through exactly what they're going through. And we thought it was so important to really focus in on them. And then also, when we look at the fashion side of things, in past years, we've worked with modeling agencies, and we've brought in, national designers from Toronto. And this year, we recognize the importance of supporting local. I think, more than ever, that's important right now as we watch our local businesses struggle through this. And so we've only highlighted local businesses. We've partnered with local retailers, with local restaurants as our partners for the event, and made it something that was available to really anybody if they were coming into Edmonton to go shopping.
And how many local survivors will be featured?
So we are featuring 5 women from throughout Alberta, including one from Vermilion. And she is one of 135 women from the Lloydminster area who have stayed with us.
Oh, wow. And why do you believe this is also important for residents suffering with cancer and survivors to be a part of this event?
I think more than anything, they've always been the heart of the show, but it's an opportunity to really show their strength and their resilience. They get to be, models for a day. They get their glow up moment of having their hair and makeup done and being dressed by the bay. And this year we did a photo shoot instead of them walking the runway, but they have those and they're powerful and they feel good about the way that they look, and they've been through so much. Many of these women, extensive chemotherapy, radiation, surgeries, they've lost their hair, they've lost parts of their body, and this is an opportunity for them to feel confident in the skin that they're in. And for us to be able to give that to them, and the feedback that we get is just more than the event and the fundraiser, it's really a part of their healing journey.
And throughout the 24 years for this fundraiser, I'm sure you've gotten lots of support. Do you believe the support will still be strong with this virtual version of it?
Yeah, we've gotten really good feedback so far, and tickets continue to sell, which is excellent. And for us, it was actually an opportunity to better engage the communities that we serve. Normally, the event's held on a Thursday in Edmonton. That's not necessarily easy for people who are coming from 5 or 6 hours away to be a part of that. And so this year, you can watch from the comfort of your own home or with your friends at a watch party and still feel like you're a part of the event in a way that in years past, you didn't have the opportunity to engage.
And this event will be October 8th, correct?
That is correct. October 8th at 7 p.m.
And how can people also access it that don't know yet?
Absolutely. So they can go online to compassionhouse.org/FWC, Fashion with Compassion, and purchase a ticket. It's $50, and that is a direct donation to our cause. It's a tax receivable donation. And if you would like to attend, we will send out your registration. You get that. You can watch it through your smart TV, laptop, or tablet. And if you're not available to make it, but you'd still like to support us, we do have a virtual silent auction, which is on our site as well, a raffle with some really amazing prizes, including Sparkling Hill Resorts, a trip to Canmore, as well as a trip to Jasper. And then, if none of those options work for you, a direct donation is also always appreciated.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Michelle.
Thank you very much.
Well, taking one last look here at your weather forecast at the 7-day here. 11 degrees tomorrow, 12 degrees on Thursday with some cloud coverage. There's a possibility we could get some showers with like a slight 30% chance overnight tonight there. But 12 degrees heading into Thursday there, 15 on Friday, 14 on Saturdays. We could see a little bit more sun there, as well as some more sun on Sunday as we start to warm up there with that high of 18 degrees. There is a possible chance of some showers there as well with that 40%. 18 degrees on Monday as well, with 17 degrees also on Tuesday. We usually average around that 14-degree mark for our highs, so we're kind of around the ballpark there, and we're above averages for our daytime low as we see some numbers above the 2-degree mark there with the normal average that we expect of 1 degree. As I mentioned, we could see those showers possibly coming into the later part, and we shouldn't have as much of a windier day as we had today, where we got wind gusts up to close to 60 kilometers an hour.
Thanks for joining us on this edition of Primetime Local News. Have a great night.